The Hamilton Tiger Cats are in Calgary to take on the Stampeders on Friday. I'm here with the Spec Steve Milton. And Steve, Jeremiah Mazzoli gets to start a quarterback for the injured Zach Collaros. What do you expect to see out of Mazzoli?
Well, for one thing, I expect to see some Dan Lefevre in the game because ever since the fifth game last year, there's been a Lefevre package. I think there were marginal choices between these two guys, and I think why Mazzoli was chosen, and it's really marginal on and very minute, I think, differences. But I think, and this is what we'll see, I think we'll see more things like play action because you can sell it better. They got to do something to keep the pressure off that line, that offensive line, because 14 sacks, I don't care if they've gone from 10 to 4. 4 is still bad in any game. They've got to get that pressure off that offensive line, avoid the sacks, and I think Mazzoli gives them the best chance to do that. So you'll see things like play action. You'll see things like getting that ball in some manner early to Gable, and that helps establish play action and, of course, opens up some other receivers. I think also you'll see him going to Andy Fantuz a lot because that's the guy on the seam, short, that kind of thing. That's how you can get out of trouble. Throw it to the best guy.
On defense, we'll see some changes as well, potentially as many as 5 new starters on defense, but you've actually been relatively happy with how this defense has played so far this season.
Well, I think that's exactly the adverb, relatively, because you have to compare things. Let's start by comparing current state. Right now, compared to the rest of the league, they're first in fewest yards allowed per game. They're first in fewest passing yards per game, and that's a very encouraging sign. Now, a couple of non-encouraging signs on the defense are they're still 6th or 7th in the league in rushing yards, but again, passing it's a pass-dominant league. So if you're going to be 6th in one and 1st in the other, you'd rather have it the way the Ticats are. Also, their percentages of completions allowed is about the same as last year. But when you compare everything else to the first 2 games last year, they're way ahead in yards given up per game. They're way ahead in even rushing yards given up per game. They're way ahead in passing yards given up per game. This time last year, they only had, I think, 1 sack and 0 interceptions. Now they have 2 interceptions and 3 sacks. Now, they're still 0-2, but within that, you've got to look for positive signs, and that certainly is one. I think the defense, even with the 5 guys out, now that's going to be a problem against a really, really good offensive team to have 5 starters from the previous week out, because as we know, the biggest problem on this team, I guess besides talent level over the last 5 years, has been the continuity factor, and here we are again.
Talk about the 0-2 start going into Calgary. Good team, obviously, in the Western Division. At 0-2, are we at the must-win phase of the season or not?
If suddenly geography changed and Hamilton was somehow in the West, yes, you'd be in must-win with a lower case. Look what happened to Winnipeg. Suddenly they go from, I know O'Shea has almost everything to do with this, but they go to the West and all of a sudden they're 3-0 because there's you have to compete more in the West than you do in the East. I've always said that probably the greatest teaching tool, development tool in all of professional sports is the CFL East because it allows teams to work on only themselves, not make panic moves because all of a sudden they're too far behind, because you never get too far behind in the last 2 or 3 years. Even last year when they were 1-4, nobody had gone away and hidden on them, and that's actually the major factor, besides their sort of comeback in the second half of the season, that they got a home game last year. That was probably the major factor, was that nobody ran away and hide or 2 teams didn't when they were 1-4. Same thing this year. I mean, they win a couple of games, they're in first place. So no, there's no, to me, no panic. It's not a must-win, but in capital letters, this is a would like to win and would be really, really helpful. If they don't, 0-3, and then your hometown, your home field, home being this place, sees you for the first time and you're coming in 0-3, that's not always a great situation.
Make sure you check out Friday Spectator for a full game preview, as well as the Scratching Post blog for all the up-to-the-minute news from Calgary. Reporting with the Spec Steve Milton, I'm Drew Edwards.